Welcome, beautiful people. I'm really glad to be here with you today, and I'll be sharing a little bit more about the final part of the vast heart meditation and how you can truly allow this meditation practice to come to fruition in your experience. But before we do that, let's just do a short version of the practice itself as a way to settle into our time together today. So wherever you are, just take a few deeper breaths and sit back and bring your awareness down into your direct sensed experience. And as you let go on the exhale, just feel as if your body is melting in and down to receive the holding of the chair or the cushion or the bed, or wherever you are. And allow your own inhale to welcome you fully to your experience as it is. Remembering that the gate to grace is always right where we are, our direct experience in the here and now. So there's nothing you need to get or become. Just feel your in-breath and your out-breath naturally guiding you into yourself. So bring your focus to the area of your heart, as if your heart itself could breathe. And let's start with the horizontal breath, feeling as if each inhale allows more space in your heart horizontally. Feeling as if your heart could open and expand beyond your body to just at least recognize that here we are together. Our community here on this Facebook page, those of us who are interested in these teachings and engaging the way of grace, we are already connected. And just so let yourself feel your interconnectedness with everyone here, regardless of where our bodies are located. And recognize that the same mystery, the same presence is breathing us, animating us, living us. We are all being lived and breathed. And so therefore we are all naturally connected, part of something larger. And feeling that horizontal breath, letting yourself feel the natural love and goodwill that we have for one another. As if your heart could just expand as fast as the horizon. And now letting the breath allow more space in the heart vertically. So as you feel the breath expanding inner space down through your body, through the earth, through into the very foundations of this earth, and simultaneously up through the atmosphere, through our solar system. You might notice a felt sense of vertical alignment. Grounded in that which is deeper, and simultaneously just open, aware that not only do we receive the light of the sun every day, but that we are also the recipients of all sorts of subtle dimensions of grace and blessing. And as you breathe vertically, let yourself feel that in your heart. That there are beings that exist in subtle spheres, enlightened beings, angelic beings, celestial beings, whose love and realization is just pouring down to bless us and sustain and encourage and nourish us in this moment and every moment. And that the earth beneath our feet is nourishing and loving as well. And so we let ourselves just receive that and feel it in our heart. Letting that support us to just be here where we are. Just breathe into the heart and be nourished. Just let the breath now be breathed back and front. Recognizing that you and I, we are so loved and blessed, and we are the recipients of the beings who have practiced before us. We are the recipients of the love and care that has been given through our ancestors. That we are blessed by the wisdom that has been passed down to us through our teachers and their teachers. And that we practice together so that those who come after us may ride on our practice and receive the blessing of that. That here we are together, and that we are really just the latest in a long line of awakening to the truth of love. Letting the flow of grace breathe our heart. Dissolving form and time. And now feel as if your heart is just being breathed in all directions simultaneously. You may see it as a lotus that is your heart unfolding its petals, so that the spaciousness and the radiant core can just shine its gifts and its beauty. And so that we can feel the nourishing nectar that's there in our heart, that is loving and kind, joyful, naturally. And this natural openness that is your heart offers total welcome, and particularly offers welcome for your mind to drop into your heart. So feel that sense of trying and efforting and judgment and thoughts of what you think you need to do, even thoughts of what you are. Let that all just drop down into the heart. Letting it all rest. So you can just abide here in the heart of being. So many of you, I'm sure, have been on the journey with me in recent months with this summer meditation challenge that I gave, where we've been focusing on this vast heart practice. So I'm sure that some of you have been very diligent with this practice, doing the 108 breaths each day as we've been going along. And I'm also sure that some of you have probably fallen off the wagon or gotten distracted with other things. That happens. But wherever we are, we can always just come back to the practice and pick right up where we've left off. So if you've been engaging with this practice in some way, I'm sure that you're already starting to feel some of the benefits. There are many benefits as we give ourselves to this practice. Not only does giving ourselves to any regular practice help to connect us more substantially with our presence and therefore bring more of a sense of immediacy and contact with our innermost nature. But this practice in particular has a very nourishing effect, and maybe you've been feeling some of that. I hope so. Some of the things I would have expected if you've been working with this regularly is, likely feeling more love for yourself, for all beings, likely starting to feel more empathy for their situation, likely starting to feel kinder, more compassionate, likely to feel more joyful, because we often don't necessarily realize that the source of all joy is your heart. And likely, I hope you're starting to feel more courage. We often don't necessarily see that courage is also a quality of our deep heart. In fact, when we look with subtle eyes to the location of so many of the essential qualities of the divine, they actually emerge out of a human heart, which is why so many mystical traditions have understood the human heart to be a really important access point between the subtle dimensions, heavenly realms, and our human realms. And so, as we've been practicing this fast heart practice, my hope was that it was going to give you a bit more access to the potential of your own heart and to the qualities of your heart that are very rejuvenating and nourishing and tend to make us feel happy with life as it is. And if you're watching this video and you're not quite sure what is this fast heart practice, well, it's basically the practice that I took you through just now at the beginning of this presentation, but obviously done with a lot more deliberation and for longer. So, you can learn about that and experiment with it for yourself by watching the other videos in this series. But for today, I want to focus on the final part of this practice that really helps it to come to full fruition. And that involves letting the heart be breathed in all directions simultaneously. So you've already spent time focusing on the horizontal breath and working on the issues that likely brings up, issues to do with permeability and concerns about taking on other people's energy, or opening up to deeper intimate connection with others, to letting yourself feel your interconnectedness with all of life. We've been working on the vertical connection that helps your heart open to the deep support of the ground of grace, as well as to open to subtle dimensions of light and celestial dimensions. And also we've been working on the back and front breath that helps you realize that you and I are just the latest in a long line of unfolding liberation, and to recognize that we've received so much and do receive so much from all that has gone before us, and that we practice not just for our personal gain and benefit, but also for the benefit of the generations that will find their way to spiritual practice after us. And so when we then open to let the breath be breathing the heart in all directions simultaneously, there's often a sense of real joy and fulfillment that comes alive in the heart. And we realize just how good it feels to be that in touch with ourselves, to really let go of the self-centeredness of trying to defend or protect our heart, and instead just let it open. And so there is often a felt sense of there being a vast lotus in our heart. And when you study, the Vedas, you see that they describe the heart chakra in that way, as this multi-petaled instrument that has endless potential. And so when we allow the breath to breathe the heart in all directions simultaneously, it's just an invitation for you to sort of feel the openness, the spaciousness, and just to feel that nectar-like presence where we allow the radiance at your core, and whatever you think of yourself, the core of your being is a radiant presence. And it's not a something, it's, and it arises out of emptiness, which is why we've been working on allowing space to emerge in the heart. And when you really deepen with that allowing space in the heart, you see that there's galaxies of space within you. It's not physical, and that your heart is more than just a physical organ. It's really a portal to all sorts of very beautiful realms to come alive and for you to feel them, because our heart is an organ of perception through feeling. And so this practice is about letting yourself feel it, letting yourself feel the spaciousness, letting yourself relish the vastness, the sense of spaciousness, and to allow the luminosity to find you as it will. And so when I use that word luminosity, often there's a felt sense of a lot of very beautiful qualities like love, but it's not necessarily, personal love, or it's not necessarily love for particular somebody or because of something. It's just love itself. And the same with joy. There's, when we open and allow the heart to be breathed in all directions simultaneously, we usually feel joyful, happy, but without necessarily needing a reason, without it being necessarily circumstance dependent. We start feeling what the Vedas called, ananda, which is the tone of our deep heart. It's natural joy and love itself. And this is a very beautiful thing, because it helps us so much when we can feel the truth of our own heart, to hold difficult things in our life in perspective, and to recognize that while all of our life contains challenges and obstacles and things that we have to deal with that may not necessarily be that joyful, that we can actually access joy and peace and love because it's our deep heart itself. This is very powerful and helps us then to have more equanimity as we move through our daily lives. So once we've allowed the heart to be breathed in all directions simultaneously, and just to be there as the heart, then we can welcome all of our thoughts, all of our beliefs, the tendency that we all have to contract and to come up into the mind and worry about how to fix this, how to do that, how to tackle that problem, to let that all relax down into the heart. And this is an important teaching that Ramana Maharshi gave, is to let the mind drop into the heart. And what he really meant by that was to let the tendency to think, I am me, this is my life, this is how I have to do it, this is what the world is, this is what other people are, here are the rules, that when we really look at that stuff, it's layers of learning things, that conditioning that went into us in the early part of our life. A lot of it is beliefs and conclusions and reifications and internalization of our parents or our authority figures' rules when we were children, that creates a lot of struggle in our life, that creates unnecessary pressure and clunkiness. So Ramana was saying, let all of that, all your thoughts about what you are, all your thoughts about what life is, all your beliefs about how you have to do it, why you have to become this, all that efforting, all that struggle, all that stuff that belongs to that tendency to think of yourself as a separate somebody, referencing your thoughts and memories all the time. Let that drop down into this vast, open, spacious, infinitely welcoming heart. Well, that's a lot easier than you think, and it produces the possibility for just rest and peace at any moment. And it also shows us something about the right relationship between the mind and the heart. In the West, we are so conditioned to navigate through daily life through thinking, I have to do it, through, pushing harder, trying harder. We forget that we are connected to all beings. We so quickly forget that we are supported by the infinite ground and by celestial beings. We forget split second all too easily. And so as we remember, let the mind drop into the vast heart, then we can actually ask questions that help us to navigate with more grace and intelligence the various situations in our life. That's not possible until we've let go of thinking I'm the doer and it's all up to me. We have to let the mind drop into the heart before we can hear any true guidance. And so when the mind drops into the heart, then what happens to the head center is it becomes very spacious. Not only does the heart become a lot bigger than just this organ in our body, but our head center can actually open up and become clear and calm. It can feel like scintillating light on water that has no beginning or ending. And so you can start to feel as if your perception is what's called non-localized or bigger than your location. You can start to access divine mind, which is not coming through the filter of a personality that thinks it's a separate someone that believes it has to struggle and do it all itself. And so when we let the mind drop into the heart, it actually frees up the head center, and it frees up deeper intelligence, deeper knowing, deeper clarity. So we can not only feel our interconnection with things, we start to see more objectively, and we can let the mind be in service to the heart. Ramana also spoke about the heart, the mind being an exquisite servant but a tyrannical master. And so when the mind's faculty of perception and clarity and knowing is directed to serve the heart, directed to serve love, directed to serve what brings the felt sense of unity, what brings peace, what brings a deeper humanity, then what we find is all of our gifts of mind become balanced with the love that is our heart. And there's a sense of alignment of mind and heart that is very beautiful, that brings our intelligence and our love together as one. That gives us, therefore, a capacity to act in a beautiful way, to embody grace in our daily life. And so I hope that you'll continue to work with this over the coming month. That felt sense of the heart being breathed in all directions simultaneously, and letting yourself feel the nourishment of that, and letting yourself feel the dissolving of separation that brings. Ramana said that by whatever the means, the dissolving of I and mine is the goal. And so you realize, as the heart really opens in all directions simultaneously, that it's no longer about your heart or my heart, because the deeper we go, it's just the heart, which is why this practice is called the vast heart, not your vast heart, the vast heart. There's no owner here. It's not real estate. It doesn't have a beginning, middle, or end, really. The love that is your heart is divine love. The joy that is there in your heart is there because it's part of the divine. the goodness, the mercy, the kindness, the compassion, all of these qualities are your natural divine human qualities. And they need expression. Our world needs so much more of those heart qualities to be what we lead with in the living of our daily life, rather than the temptation just to go back to judgment and complaining and living our life through those stories of the past. So I hope you'll just continue to work with this practice, and to remember that you can also do on-the-spot versions. So with any practice, there's the longer version of it, which we might do with the mala beads, maybe as you're walking or maybe as a sitting meditation. But you can also do on-the-spot versions, just 5 minutes. Whenever you feel a need to, whenever you're starting to feel disconnected, or whenever you're getting caught up in an old story, or whenever you're just feeling kind of a little overwhelmed or stressed, you can come back to this practice and just let it bring you back to the nourishing nectar of your heart, and to letting your thinking, doing mind drop in and down to that spacious, loving presence that is your heart. And from there, just ask and listen to what is the true way forward in this situation, what is loving and wise here, what is right action here. So, dear friends, I hope you'll continue with this practice. A few other things I want to say about this too. In the coming few weeks, there's a few things I want you to know about. If you happen to live in the state of California, or particularly in Northern California, not far from where I live, I will be giving a rare public teaching this Friday and Saturday up in Ukiah, which is 2 hours north of the Bay Area. And if you're someone who's thinking about wanting to apply for my Marin or Sonoma Sangha, it would be a particularly good opportunity for you just to come and meet with me and join together with other people. I'll be giving a satsang on the Friday evening, meaning a talk, and I'll probably be working with people in the chair, which I'd really love to do. And then the next day, I'll be giving a day-long mini workshop where we'll get to work with some of these themes on the way of grace and interact with one another and do some inquiries and chanting and meditation. I'm sure it'll be very beautiful, because it always is. And the studio, Yoga Mendocino, is a gorgeous place and full of wonderful people who either have been studying with me a while or are just interested to come and find out more. So you're very welcome if you want to do that. The second thing is the next retreat I have coming up is in North Carolina. And the focus for that retreat in November is receiving the blessings of grace. So I'm telling you now, in case you really could feel like you need some filling up, you need some nourishment, you need to really plug back into the mains, well, you might want to consider making your arrangements and joining me for that retreat in North Carolina. The details are on my website, so you can find out more that way. But I'm really looking forward to that. I know it's going to be a rich and very beautiful retreat. And then lastly, I want to let you know that I have a couple more openings in my calendar for private sessions at this point. So I am open to working with you if you're very sincere, you've been reading my book, and you would really like some specific help to go deeper in your spiritual path, and that you want to work with me one-on-one. So you can write in to info@mirandamcpherson.com, and Jenny will tell you more about how that process works. So lastly, just know that my love goes with you as you engage these practices, and as you read through or perhaps reread some of the teachings in the Way of Grace, or if you haven't already listened to the audiobook version, I really encourage you to listen to that. And I know that people who have been working with the audiobook really, really love it. And I had such a good time putting it together for you. So just know that as you read, as you practice, I'm with you. And the transmission is with you. And there is so much love and support for you to truly live into the vast heart of your deepest nature, and let your mind drop into that vast heart and learn to live your life from that center of gravity. So thank you for your engagement and for your beauty and for your participation. And my love is always with you.